Konnichiwa, everybody. Konnichiwa. Memi, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships. Thank you, thank you. Oh, DVR's on. Thank you for the reminder, chat. Oh, I completely forgot to turn that off. Ooh. Oh. Good morning, everyone. I was thinking back about the little zatsu I did yesterday, and I was like, wait a minute, these are all the same stories I talked about every single day. It feels like I talk about the same things every single day, but it's because I keep encountering the same issues constantly. So today, I am challenging myself to not talk about the same things. So, you know how, like, there's a whole bunch of dudes on Twitter who are like, yeah, like, I don't need 100 guys. I just need, like, me and, like, 2 of my best buddies and we can take down a gorilla, right? That audacity, we're gonna try to have a little taste of that audacity today. I'm pretty sure I can survive a zombie apocalypse. Haha, that's mine. that's my, yeah, I can take down a gorilla moment, you know? I'm pretty sure I can survive a zombie apocalypse, okay? Annie Plage, thank you for the 27 months. Morning, Shinri, if you were able to get a hat for your new outfit, what type of hat would it be and what color? I have a soft spot for like those newsboy hats. The ones that have like a little brim, but like the top, like the puffy part of it, I don't know what the terminology, but like the little puffy part like connects to the rim. The little newsboy hats, I think those are really cute. I like those. I also like a bucket hat, but I don't know if a bucket hat would work with this. It would go like really hard with the newsboy hat would go really hard with the suspenders, and I would like dig down into the really buff newsboy aesthetic, if that's a thing. I don't know if that's a thing or not. Okoidi, Jowler, they give the 16 months. Society. Yeah. It's the one thing we won't have in a zombie apocalypse. Okoidi, thanks for with the membership. Okay. Chad, do you think I could survive? Do you think I could survive in a zombie apocalypse? I think I could survive in a zombie apocalypse. I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good at making do with a lot of things that like aren't modern conveniences. You could survive, but could you thrive is the big question. Humans are the true final boss of zombie apocalypses. I'm pretty sure we could. I'm pretty sure we could. What is the AI chat summary? Whatever. It's always doing some shenanigans. Okay. Nowadays, in 2025, if we talk about zombie apocalypses, we first must set the stage, okay? We need to identify what kind of a zombie apocalypse it is, okay? If it's like Night of the Living Dead, you know, like Romero zombies, easy peasy, right? They shamble. That's all they do, right? If it's like Walking Dead, a little bit more difficult, a little bit more challenging, right? Like World War Z, everyone's gone, you know? Yeah, runners or walkers, like you gotta, or like Last of Us, exactly, right? Thank you for the 15 months, Okoidi. Can Gerard survive a zombie apocalypse? Until his bullets run out, which is like 6 seconds, 7 seconds, and then it all goes downhill from there, you know? Yeah, World War Z zombies, Last of Us zombies, we're all god, you know? Although I will say, if it was Last of Us zombies, I would love to be there for like the beginning portions of it, just because I want to be able to study. Like, you know, I want to know what it's like to have the fungal spores infect a creature. Like, I know at some point I would end up being that like really messed up like creepy scientist guy in those horror movies. Like I know for a fact I would be. Inaki, thank you for the 27 months. I'm almost done with embroidering a tote bag, but it looks bland with one flower. Any flower suggestions? I want to make it very pretty. I have a soft spot for sunflowers. I like them because they're very big. And then the middle portion where the sunflower seeds are is a very nice tactile sensory experience. So I like sunflowers. If it's Train to Busan zombies, we're all gone. Yeah. I do not know if clickers communicate or coordinate attacks. They kind of do, don't they? But like, okay, so the reason why I know I would end up that way, does a zombie move by magic or virus? I would say in order to keep it a little bit more within the realm of feasibility, we have to say virus. We have to say it's like a bacterial or a viral infection. It can't be magic. Because if it's magic and we introduce magic into the scenario, everything is kind of out the wazoo, you know? Like anything is possible at that point if we introduce magic, you know? Or something in that nature. Yeah, and I think it has to be grounded in reality. Like the what is it called again? Oh gosh, it's too early. I'm just like barely having coffee right now. Cordyceps. There we go. That's the name. Cordyceps fungi. The cordyceps fungi, the way that they control bugs is like, it's all biological in nature. It's not magical. They infect the creature and then they release chemical compounds inside the brain that make the insect, they make the bugs want to go higher. Like the cordyceps that go into ants. There's a reason why every single ant that gets infected with cordyceps will want to continually try to climb higher and higher, because that's what the chemicals do inside the brain. And then once they die, the body, the spore, whatever, stalk erupts from the body. And then because it's in a high place, the winds and the gentle breezes will carry more spores around and infect more ants, you know? Hello, thanks for re-upping the membership. Bionia. Okay. Wasn't that the same in Resident Evil or something? I think it was a little bit retcon, kind of. It wasn't what really retconned. It was like massaged. They like massaged the true whereabouts from it, because as we saw. Wait, I don't know if you guys have seen Resident Evil 7 and 8, but they do kind of explain where it comes from in 7 and 8 and why the air quotes like infection in 7 and 8 is different from the ones in 1, 2, 3, 4 and kind of 5, I think. Because like there are documents in there that talk about like how the infected in 7 and 8 are fungal, and then like some research guy was talking about like, I don't think fungus is the answer, I think it's viruses. And then there's like an allusion to like them researching the same similar kind of like control pathogens or whatever. And then yeah, it's like 7 and 8 was about mold, but there's like documents near 8, I think, near the end of 8, after you clear the whole castle, where like someone has them working along with the people there. 4 and 5 had the parasites. Oh yeah, the parasites, that too. So like, I think it's all different. It's all different. I thought that 4, so it went from slugs to fungus. I think the general purpose is, can I create a bioweapon that lets me control armies of people to obey my every command? And then they just use different methods: viruses, parasites, fungus, all that fun stuff. But like, you know, it all has like, it's a little outlandish, but it all has some kind of a grounded basis in reality. Okay. Oh my god, no, my stream is crashing. Ugh. No, not this, not in the morning, please. Are we back? Hello, Chad. Are we preparing for the zombie apocalypse? No, we are practicing our audacity muscle and working it out. We're working out our audacity muscles to just confidently say, I would survive a zombie apocalypse. Okay, so like that's the thing, okay? The reason why I know I would end up becoming one of those like scientist people at the end of a zombie apocalypse is because I would want to find out, you know? So like, I don't know, maybe like 6-7 months into it, I would set up a pen to try to catch rats or mice, right? And then like wear like thick, heavy welding gloves or whatever, right? And then I would go and purposefully infect the rats with whatever the zombie virus thing, whatever the outbreak is, right? So that I can study them, so that we can figure out exactly how it works, right? Like, I know for a fact I would end up doing that. Who would you want on your zombie apocalypse team? Okay, so I'm having a really difficult time trying to think about who I want on my zombie apocalypse team. Here's the thing, I work better alone. I don't want to imply that the boys would drag me down, but let's see. Okay, in a zombie apocalypse scenario, who would be able to hold their own? Okay, Altair, probably. Axel, I'm actually gonna go on a limb and say I don't think Axel would be able to hold out on his own in a zombie apocalypse. He is like, Axel would need a team. He wouldn't be able to do it on his own. Yeah, Ruse would be fine. I don't think Octavio would. I don't think Gold Bullet would. Fleon Haka, I'm sorry. Battle, no. Yeah, it would be me, Ruse, and Altair, I think. If I have to like seriously think about it, I think it might just be me, Ruse, and Altair. If Flay has the archers, then he's gonna be the sole stopper of the apocalypse. Well, the thing is, for maybe the first period of time, I don't know how long like the battery packs in the archers will survive. Because the thing is, it needs fuel, right? It needs some kind of energy, some kind of resource to make it work. If you can't recharge it, then I don't know. I think like you would need so many solar panels to try to make that work, and then you'd have to maintain the solar panels over a long time, so I'm not sure. Gerard, I mean, we already know Gerard's not going to survive more than about 7 seconds, you know. Find yourself a Florida man. Exactly. If we had a Florida man, we'd be fine. We would just send like a whole bunch, like send a squadron of Florida men into the zombie apocalypse, and then we'll arm them with gators. 2 gators per each Florida man, and then they'll just run and carry the gators, and then they'll take it over, you know. It'll be easy peasy. But like, it's hard to say, because if I'm on my own, it's a lot easier for me to just handle myself, because I know I am like I'm good with getting dirty. You know, like I don't need to have a shower all the time. Like, I've been camping, you know, like it's okay, right? I know how to find my way. I know how to navigate. Do you guys know how to use a compass or like use a map and properly navigate? Like that stuff is easy too, you know, like that stuff is fine for me. But if I have other people, it's like I have to take care of them, you know, and outside of Altair and Ruse, I'll have to spend more of my time making sure they don't die than making progress, you know? A team of 3 is more manageable with food and water. I mean, like, if we had a base somehow, and it was like, maybe we time skip 6 months into the future, and we don't ever talk about how we got the base set up, but there just happens to be a base, right? Sure, everyone's gonna be fine there, right? But like, if it's like the outbreak is happening right now, Okay, like as of this moment, we have no idea what's going on. We just have reports of people going around being very violent, attacking people, right? And we had to make the decision right now to start, right? I'm not sure how many of them would be able to just keep up with it, you know? You find like a prison or something that's abandoned in a town. I don't think you can though. It's gonna be really difficult. Well, the difficulty with prisons is it's gonna be incredibly hard to clear the prison. You know, with every single prison cell potentially having a zombie, you're gonna have to go through every single one of them, and it's not even like you clear it once and you're good to go. Like, unless you 100% certain know for sure that you have locked down every single entrance and exit to that building, you're gonna have to keep clearing every single cell every single day. You know, not even every single day, like every 5 hours, every 10 hours, you know, because you never know if anyone might like sneak in or hide around there, you know. I think a prison has more chances of stuck zombie than other locations. Yeah. And like the big thing is the moment that it happens, okay, the moment a zombie apocalypse happens, it doesn't matter what kind of zombie it is, right? Like, let's say like best survival chances, it happens across the nation, right? And you have like a 3-hour gap, right? Before like the news breaks out, like, oh, there's crazy like reports of people going around, right? Having experience from the global panini 5 years ago, I don't know how fast the crowds would disperse. Oh, Jack Gimbone, hello. Thank you so much for the rain. Konnichiwa. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. We're flexing our audacity muscles today and confidently saying that we would survive a zombie apocalypse. Hope you had a good stream. Yeah, so I'm thinking back, right? Like Costco's, warehouses, food surplus stores, grocery outlets, all that kind of stuff, right? They got so flooded so quickly. And the thing is, when you have crowds that large, all it takes is one. It only takes one zombie. Because like everyone's just kind of crowding the warehouse stores, right? Because they're like, I'm gonna get a whole bunch. I need to buy toilet paper. I need to buy like hand sanitizer, whatever, right? But like in that rush, all it takes is one person to be infected, you know, to start biting people, and then that pandemic, the zombie virus is gonna spread so fast because like the rush of people trying to go into a shop to buy is actually significantly louder than you would think. You know, you're not going to hear people screaming and think, they're screaming because of a zombie. They're screaming, your initial reaction is going to be, they're going to be screaming because they're getting into a fight over someone trying to buy the last roll of toilet paper or whatever, right? So like, because of how much noise and commotion and bodies are going to be, like, it's not going to be a safe space to be, right? Because all it takes is one bite. All it takes is one. So there's gonna be a mad rush, and I don't know how many people will win, because the idea is once the zombie apocalypse breaks out, there's gonna be a non-insignificant number of people. There's gonna be a ton of people out there who will think, I can get into Costco, buy all the stuff I need, and get back out of there safely before the crowd hits. And I think a lot of people overestimate how quickly they can go in and out before getting swarmed by the crowd and then risking getting stuck in that crowd, you know? Like, it's not even just that, like driving, instantly, the moment the outbreak happens, roads are gonna be locked. Okay, you're not gonna be able to use your cars because everyone's gonna be trying to drive. All the highways, you're gonna have bumper to bumper traffic. It's not gonna be good, you know? There was a solid 5-7 days when travel restrictions happened before lockdowns. Local grocery stores were super normal. I stocked up and looked like a loon. See, if you get that, if you have advanced warning, if you have advanced notice, right? Like it's still in like the, hey, by the way, like occasionally, like, you know, here and there, just random stories of like, oh, there was this violent fight at a bar, whatever, right? Or like over here in some town far off in the hills of, I don't know, Europe or whatever, right? There's like someone who's like viciously attacking someone, but like it's not like big news, right? So you kind of like notice, but like as you see these small stories popping up, you're like, wait a minute, something's happening, right? Because like that's kind of how it was. It wasn't like April 15th. Zombie apocalypse starts now at 6 p.m. Pacific time. You know, it's not like that, right? It like slowly, gradually builds up. If you're able to catch that, you know, if you're able to catch that slow rise of like, wait a minute, there are like weird stories happening here and there, right? Like, let me prepare. If you're in that situation, then 100%, you are much better than whenever the official announcements show up, you know? What would be something not necessarily essential you'd prioritize for the apocalypse, like books or movies? Spices. Spices. Anything with spices and herbs. Dried herbs? Yeah, just like get a whole bunch of those. I've talked about this before. Oh my god, no, we're gonna talk about things. Okay, I'm gonna mention this briefly because it's topical. It's in context, okay? Beans, rice, fantastic. You need spices, okay? You can't survive off just beans and rice, okay? Like morale, food morale is a big thing. All right, if you eat the same thing for a week, you are going to lose morale so fast. I mean, if you think about it, like, there are videos where, like, U.S. naval vessels, like aircraft carriers, there are videos out there of little mini documentaries, not like full documentaries, like just little like insider scoops, right? Where they put so much priority on having a variety of food, and just every single week you would have different meals, you know, for like every Monday, you know, every Taco Tuesday, you know, and then on Wednesdays you have, I don't know, like enchiladas or something, right? But like you need to have a variety of meals because when you're out there on a long deployment, you need to keep up morale, right? So you kind of have to treat it that way. You're gonna go camping, you know, you're not gonna be able to Uber or DoorDash anything unless unless we're talking about like I Am Legend zombies and then they establish a different society, you know? Yeah, salt, sugar, vinegar, emergency foods. There's scurvy if you have to worry about if you have less. Yeah, if you don't have access to certain vitamins. Exactly. You need to have Taco Tuesdays. Surf and turf for vital stability. Exactly. Can't skip on the lobster. The thing is, like, a lot of people overestimate exactly how much food there is. Like I know in like suburban areas or like places that are slightly more rural, they're like, oh, I'll be fine, I'm gonna go hunt, right? But it's like, yeah, but it's you and like the entire neighborhood around you and everyone else who think I'm gonna just go hunt, right? Like the fact that we have plentiful food every single day is more a miracle of logistics that requires a lot of working parts to operate very closely together to make it work, right? You can't really go hunting for food and provide for yourself in that way, you know? A lot of people overestimate it. So like foraging for food, you're not going to get enough calories foraging for food as the world is now, you know? It no longer becomes a handful of people. Exactly. It's like you and then everyone else, and then you have to worry about like, can those people be trusted? Okay. But all right, actually on that point, not specifically for like zombie apocalypses, but in like periods of natural disasters, there have been studies of how communities work together and keep each other safe and help each other out by sharing resources and food, water, all that stuff, right? The general trend is people who work together are more likely to survive and overcome challenges than people who are being all like, I'm going to stick it out on myself and I'm going to kill anyone else who comes out, like, you know, they like, oh, they're going to come from my stores, they're going to come from my stash, you know, and like you kill them, you know, that kind of stuff. They very rarely succeed past the first like couple of months. It's a lot more effective for survival to work together as a group than it is to like try to lone wolf it out in the wilderness, you know? I don't think many know basic survival skills like that to begin with. I mean, in general. Yeah, exactly. Like, I think everyone knows what a compass is. I don't think most people know how to use a compass, you know? From the Shinri that earlier said he goes solo. Well, the thing is, for me, it's a lot easier for me to like move. It's a lot easier for me to travel. Like, I'll trust people, sure, but like, it's like the mindset that you have is more important. Like, if I encounter people, I'm going to encounter them friendly wise. You know, I'm gonna be like, hey, you know, I have these tools that I can like repair some stuff for you if you know, if you'd be so kind to like give me some medicine or like some, you know, bandages or whatever, right? Like being cooperative with the people that you meet, as opposed to like seeing someone scavenging for food and thinking immediately, oh, they're competition, they're gonna steal that, you know, that last can of Diet Dr. Pepper or Code Red Mountain Dew or whatever. You know, like engaging with people in a cooperative fashion as opposed to an antagonistic fashion and treating them as competition is what makes you more likely to survive, is the thing, you know? So even if you're solo, as long as you're working together with people, it's fine, you know? Like, if I want to travel, I would much prefer to travel solo because I can move faster on my own than to travel with the group. But that doesn't mean I'm going to inherently go out of my way to avoid groups and treat them as enemies, you know? We're losing the ability to read maps with GPS. Oh, God. This is why I think the millennials are like the perfect generation if anything happens, because I grew up with maps. I grew up with paper maps, Chad. I remember like driving along in the backseat with my parents when I was like a little baby, driving around Zenakudi, right? We didn't have GPS back then, okay? You had to print maps on MapQuest, and you had just a whole list of directions, like turn left here, turn right there, go past the intersection here, right? But like they didn't have images, right? So you just kind of hope to, like, you just fingers crossed, hope that you do see the sign for the road, right? And then this is also when I learned that I hated a lot of like gas stations. Not gas stations, but like tourist shops, because they always folded their maps, right? And it was really annoying because every single time you got a folded map and it's like an old map, the fold creased areas will like scratch the ink away from the page, so you couldn't read what was in the creases. So I'm like, you're supposed to roll the maps. You're not supposed to fold it and then like, you know, like, oh my God, right? Yeah, the creases. It's always the creases. You're not supposed to fold the maps. Why would you do that? It's okay for like a big, broad level map of like, hey, here's like all of, you know, all of Nevada or whatever, right? But if you're like trying to find specific roads in like a residential area and it happens to line up on the crease, like, good luck, you know, you're gone. The crease is right on the names of the road maps that you need to look at. Exactly. But like, I learned how to read maps. I know how to read maps. Honestly, okay, here's the thing, chat. It is actually a lot easier to read maps than you would think. There's a lot of guides out there on YouTube, right? Like there's a whole bunch of like camp outdoorsmen, like camp woodsy, like exploration stuff. It's very easy to learn. It's very, very easy to learn, okay? I feel so validated about hating the folds on maps. Yes, I hated those too. But yeah, there was like a video about like the apocalypse. Okay, was it the apocalypse or like the rapture or whatever? Like in a fictional scenario where all of humanity is just blipped away, right? How long would the services last? You know, like electricity, I think it would last about 2 weeks before maintenance would be required and all the power stations shut down. Water would survive for like about a month or so before it just locks up and freezes because it just isn't being processed properly. Electricity through like the grid system is gonna go down pretty much instantly. Like there won't be lights, you know, like street lights and like street lights, street lamps. Just like general municipal services will kind of like fall apart within a month or so. And like a lot of the stuff we take for granted, you know, like GPS that'll be fine. Like GPS will be fine, but like you're gonna have to find a way to recharge your stuff and maintain the stuff that you need in order to recharge your stuff as well, right? Yeah, there's no way the grid stays up, exactly. Like a lot of the services, a lot of the utilities that we use will be gone after a month because they all require consistent, like regular maintenance all the time, you know? Not counting nuclear power plants that can explode leading to nuclear disaster. I think that one is not as much of an issue today because a majority of the nuclear power plants that are actively operating do have fail-safes that if like no person were to maintain it, it would automatically just shut down on its own. So I don't think we have to worry too much about the nuclear disasters, because if it did, we're done anyway, you know? So like, it's like a non-issue at that point. All he wanted to do was charge his iPod, man. I think like, even if it's not like a big thing, I'm pretty sure we could survive. I'm pretty sure we'd be able to survive, you know? Radiation, yeah. Fun fact, chat, you know those pills that all the movies show characters eating for radiation? That only works very specifically for a very minor, like a very small, narrow window of radiation. And if you're stocking up on that, it doesn't help. Yeah. So like the Vegas, thanks for stopping by. I hope you get some good eeps and good sleeps. So like the iodine tablets, iodine or iodide, I forget. Iodine, those tablets, right? The way they work is to prevent your body from uptaking radioactive iodine that will settle into your thyroids. And then if radioactive isotopes settle into your thyroids, that's when you get like thyroid cancer. But that's really all it is. You know, it's not going to protect you from exposure on your skin. It's not going to protect you from anything. It only protects you against radioactive isotope uptake into your thyroids. So like that's what it does. The idea is you flood your thyroid with a whole bunch of iodine, and because it's flooded, there is no place for the radioactive isotopes to be uptaken into the thyroid. That's really all it does. So it's not like Rad-X or Radaway in Fallout. You can't just take a pill and then have radiation just wash out of your system. That's not how it works. So if anyone sadly was preparing and like stocking up on that sorry. I mean, it'll be fine if you eat radioactive food or if you're like exposed to radioactive water, sure. But like outside of that very narrow band, it's not really going to help that much. So sorry. Yeah. Jojo, thank you. Have you heard of Everyone's Gone to Rapture? No, I haven't heard that one. I'm not familiar with it. It sounds very specific, not like a regular supplement. It is not supposed to be a supplement. If you take it too often, the negative side effects of flooding your system with iodine is worse than any like beneficial like thing that'll happen from blocking all the radioactive isotopes. Yeah. Question, what will be the first place you're gonna loot? Nowhere. The part of Alyssa America that I live in experiences frequent earthquakes because of that, I have like a survival kit ready to go. I know I can survive for like at least 2 weeks pretty easily, give or take. So I really don't want to. I don't feel the need to go loot anywhere because I'm good on my own. You know, the first place I'd loot is the ice cream shop. That's right. Once all the power is out, the ice cream is gonna be the first thing to go. That's right. You know. Do you know where I would go though? You know those salad bars? You know those like because you know those hoity-toity salad bars? The places that are like, oh, we're gonna sell you like the very fancy hoity-toity salads, right? That like overpriced for like $25 a salad or whatever, right? You gotta go to places where people won't expect, right? Because even if the vegetables go down, why a salad bar? Because here's the thing, you're like, no one's gonna think and say like, oh, you know, the zombie apocalypse is happening, I need to stockpile on food, let's go to a salad bar. You know, like no one's gonna ever think about that, right? But if you go to the overpriced salad, yeah, exactly, the overpriced salad bars, right? You go there, and what do they have? They have dressings, they have condiments, they have utensils, they have just like general sanitation gear that they need to clean the stuff, right? That you like ignore the veggies, right? It's everything else, okay? You're gonna go there for all the like the gloves, you're gonna go there for all the napkins, the towels, the paper stuff, all the utensils, all the plastic stuff, every single dressing. They come in big bulk, like 2-3 gallon jugs, right? You're gonna take all of those, right? Because those will last. The big box of prepackaged frozen bacon bits that they use to sprinkle on the salads, that thing's gonna last for a while, you know? And no one is gonna think, oh, I'm gonna go to a salad bar as soon as the apocalypse breaks out, right? Because everyone's gonna go to Costco. Everyone's gonna go to a grocery store, right? And like, if you're ethnic, you're gonna go to like an Asian market, right? Or like all the big places that everyone kind of already thinks about are gonna be hit. Okay, so you can't go there because what happens if an outbreak happens in the crowd, right? You gotta go to places that isn't really like expected, right? Are there any canned foods in the salad bar? I'm not sure. I think there's a few. I know there's a place that's like, I know they have like canned peaches and stuff for like some fancy sweet salads, but I don't know, like cans of olives, definitely. Cans of just like artichoke hearts, but I don't know how much of that you'd find. You're going there not for the vegetables. You're going there mostly for the condiments and everything else, you know? Now if I meet someone at an overpriced salad bar, I know they're companions. Oh my god. You're like, I'm imagining like a whole bunch of companions like breaking into like a salad bar, and then like you see someone in a hooded figure in the shelter, like, who is that? Who are you? Right? And you shine the flashlight and they're wearing like that Omana Shinri like sweater merge with the little looking for lore like little picture on it. But you know, I'm just saying, like, those would be the places that I go to, okay? Those would be the places. You can probably learn to do water fasting, go without food for a few days. Yeah. Also, like, water is pretty... Water would probably be the most difficult thing depending on your region, depending on your location, you know? Some water filtration options are gonna be harder to perform in certain locations and certain regions due to your climate, and other places it'll be really easy to do. Like, did you guys know the whole the tarp trick of like, or like the cling film plastic wrap saran wrap thing, where they're like, oh, you just gotta get a big bucket of water, and then you put a smaller container in the middle of it. So like you get a whole bunch of salt water, or get like a bunch of dirty water, and you like fill it, not fill it up, but like you put a bunch of it in a bucket, right? And then you put a smaller cup in the middle, and then you put saran wrap or cling film on top, right? So that evaporates, and then it touches the top of the saran wrap, and then it like condenses, and then it drips down to the center, right? You're gonna get like 1 cup of water a day. That is really, really slow. Okay, like if you have like a field of multiple of those, maybe, but like you're gonna get 1 cup of water a day. Like the ideas that a lot of people have about how easy it is to filter water, it's a lot harder than it looks for the for places, you know. Move to Seattle where it rains a lot. Well, yes, but at the same time you have to be careful if it's like the Last of Us zombies, because like fungal spores can infect water, you know, or like viruses can infect water, you know, because it doesn't, condensation in the sky doesn't purify the water, you know? So like, let's say there's a military operation happening and they're burning the bodies of the zombies, right? And all that soot and ash fly into the sky, and then it starts raining, right? If it's a virus, you know, burning it might not be enough to kill the virus. So you got to be careful for that, you know? So like, yes, you could use it as a source of water, but you'd have to be very, very cautious. You can't just go like, oh, it's raining, oh, it's fresh water, right? That's not how it works, you know? Moving during a zombie attack sounds like a bad idea. That's the thing. Like, ideally, you should not be moving unless you're in a very dangerous position, like in the middle of a city. Try not to be in the middle of a city, because it's going to be a lot more difficult, because every single corner, every single block becomes a danger point. Also, given the fact that the roads for most major cities are like grid systems, gridlock by zombie hordes is also a very dangerous thing. Leave land and their zombies return to fish. Not even a boat, just become fish. I know there's a lot of people who think about that. They're like, oh, you know, that's a zombie apocalypse. I'm just going to go live in like homestead out there, Waterworld style on floating islands, right? Like, I think a lot of people overestimate how easy it would be to survive out in the ocean like that, you know? Just how much are you thinking about the zombie apocalypse to have such detailed plans? A lot. I was a very bored kid as a child. The idea is nice, but the feasibility is very difficult. Yeah, Yeah. Like, for the vast majority of people, sustainability living out in the oceans is gonna be near impossible because you won't be able to have food. You just won't have food, right? And someone's gonna be like, well, I can just grow my own food. It's like, all right, great. Do you guys know how many acres of like productive land, not just land, productive land you need in order to grow enough food to sustain you for daily meals? It's a lot more. It is an incredible amount of space, right? And not just space, water. You need so much water to grow so many crops, right? At least 1 meter. Like, I remember a lot of my friends starting gardens, like in-home gardens. Like, one of them bought like one of those big 5-gallon tubs, and they're like, I'm gonna grow potatoes, right? And like, I told them, like, it's not like, yes, you can grow potatoes if you know what you're doing in a closed environment, right? Like those little potato towers, right? Like, those are fine, but like, it's not that easy, and it takes a long time. It takes a lot more effort than a lot of people think, right? And then like, it took them maybe, what was it, a couple of months, like 2 months, 2.5 months or so, to like get to the point where they're like, oh yeah, I'm ready to harvest my potatoes, right? And then they like air quotes harvested, but the potatoes were about the size of your like thumb. Not even like your full thumb. The potatoes are the size of maybe like your thumb joint. Like finger potatoes, like they were tiny potatoes. Okay, yeah, like, no, not even golf balls. Golf balls would be bigger than that. Like, they were smaller than golf balls. Okay, like as a farmer, it is so much work. Yeah, that's still a harvest, yes, but like that much work, that much time for enough potatoes for maybe like 2 dishes of fish and chips, right? Like that's what you get. That's how much you're getting, right? So imagine trying to like cultivate food out there in the ocean, you know? Imagine how much water you need to waste just to water the plants, right? It's water you can't drink. Every single gallon you use watering the plants and crops is water that you're not drinking, right? And it's gonna be just so difficult to survive out there, you know? T, thank you for the 27 months. I teach gardening, and the kids are always shocked by how long it takes for things to grow. Right? Yeah. I mean, there's so many memes out there of people trying to grow carrots, right? And they see like the really healthy, big, bushy stalks on top, and then they harvest the carrot, and the roots are just tiny. You know, like it's such a common occurrence that it's become a meme, right? Like you can't judge how good your carrot harvest is gonna be just by looking at the tops of it. Oh my goodness. T, thank you for re-upping the membership. Okwidi. Raft is unrealistic. Right. Wouldn't watering saltwater be a no-go as well? Exactly. You would essentially be salting whatever crop like plot you have. And salt in soil basically kills plants. Sadly. I don't think farming would be sustainable while in a zombie apocalypse. It's too time consuming. Yeah. Like, think about how much like I know there's like a subset of people, because like, oh, egg prices are going up, they're like, oh, I'll just gonna raise my own chickens, right? And it's like they vastly underestimate the maintenance, the care, like what happens if your chickens get sick, just like the food, the water that the chickens need, the space the chickens need, right? And like, oh my gosh, you know, it's crazy. Star Creator, thank you for the super. My mom and I experimented with that soil and grew 1 watermelon. It took 5 months. Oh my goodness. I hope it was good though. It might not be like as sweet as the store-bought watermelons, but I hope you were able to enjoy the fruits, or not fruits, but your singular fruit of your labor. It was, yeah, let's go. It was honestly good. Let's go. We love that. People say that we get bored of raising chickens after a week. Yeah, like, don't fall into the hypes. Don't fall into the hype. I have chickens, it's upkeep for sure. Exactly. Also depends heavily on the way the infection works. If zombies are biologically based, if enough people keep safe and out of their reach, the zombies will die out on their own. Yeah, well, we have to prepare for the possibility that it could be worse. You know, it could be worse. So I know there's a whole thing about like, oh, if it's a viral zombie, you know, like just wait for all the zombies to starve and then die out, right? But like even in the Walking Dead, the zombies that are completely desiccated, they still move. They still pose a bit of a threat, you know, because they're not operating off of like a functional nervous system. They're operating off of like reactive muscle twitches, you know? Yeah, it takes them a long time to die off. Like humans will die, what was the thing? What was the rule? Like seven rule of sevens, or was it rule of threes? I forget what it was. Like 3 days without water, most people will die. Or was it 7 days without water? I forget. It's a short time, right? But like we don't know how long the zombies will remain active as a threat after a long time. Brain is the most functioning part of the zombie's body. Yeah. 3 days. Okay, there we go. Threes. Was it like 3 weeks without food, 3 days without water, and then 3 minutes without air? Unless you like actively practice, because I know people can hold their breath for 3 hours. We'll say 3 hours without air, just to make sure, you know, just to make sure they're all dead. Part of dehydration problems is that we need water for muscle movements, but we can't risk it, is a thing. You don't know how much muscle you need. Like what's the bare minimum amount of muscle you need in order to react and like bite, you know? This plan would only work on zombies from 28 days later because those are essentially rabid humans and not corpses. I think that's the scary stuff. Like some of the zombies, like if they're a Korean zombie that are like able to open doors, you know, like not like complex fine motor skills, right? But like if they're able to open like door handles, right? Then it's like, I'm not sure how I feel about that one, right? Yeah, Train to Busan zombies, right? I don't know. That's what I'm saying, okay? The intelligent ones. The thing is, like, the scale, like the gradient of intelligence can go from just mindless rabid creatures and beasts all the way to like I Am Legend zombies, where it's like they're not zombies, they're effectively just another species of sentient and sapient humans, you know? Marson, thank you. My thought is just wait until the zombies die out of the elements of weather, unless it's an ice age, and then maybe the body needs air or blood circulation. Possibly. But then the problem becomes, how do you survive long enough for that to happen? Because a zombie can survive out in the elements a lot longer than humans can, you know? Zero, thank you so much for joining the collective. Okwidi. I hope you enjoy the channel badge and the emotes. Yeah. In the I Am Legend book, they are vampires. Yeah, they're not like, but like they're not vampires in the sense that we think of like vampires as in like, oh, you know, like you must bounce on it, crazy. It's not those kind of vampires, right? Like they become like their own species of like, they have their own society, they have their own civilization, and they build like mythology. They come with stories and everything, right? It's not it like they're their own like culture, you know? Yeah, crazy style, that kind of, you know, not that kind of stuff, right? But like, assuming we don't get to that part, right? Assuming they don't become sapient enough to just establish their own society, and we're just dealing with humans fighting against rabid beasts, creatures, you know, that kind of stuff. Have we discussed going to the mountains yet? No, I'm not gonna go. Okay, like it's bad enough dealing with the zombies. I don't need to deal with zombies and everything that happens in the Appalachian Mountains. Okay, like we don't need both of those at the same time. Okay, what if the zombies get the cryptids in the Appalachian Mountains, right? And then now you have to deal with zombie cryptids. Okay, like let's deal with one problem at a time, step by step. Okay, we don't need to compound everything. Okay, like you thought Bigfoot was bad. What about zombie Bigfoot now? You know? Surely the cryptids would just get them instead. That's the thing though, we don't know. Like if Mothman's biology is similar enough to mammalian biology, like the Last of Us fungus infections might be able to infect Mothman. And now imagine a flying clicker. Like think about that, okay? Like it's not gonna be good. 100 zombies or 100 wendigos. The thing is, all it takes is one bite. If one of the wendigos turns, it's gonna be bad, you know? Thank you for the super Varson. Like, you would have to hope that none of the wendigos like accidentally gets like a little bit of the blood into their mouths or something, you know, and then like now you have zombie wendigos, right? Like you can't. The cryptids have survived this long, they'll probably manage. I would love to know more about like cryptid society, you know? Aren't essentially more advanced zombies by themselves? Sure, but we don't know, you know? We don't know anything about the biology to confidently say that they would not be infected, you know? So like, I don't want to take the risk. I don't want to take the risk. Also, for living in the mountains, living in the forests is very, is it more or less difficult than living out in like the prairies or like the wildlands or savannah? I wouldn't say it's more difficult. I would say it comes with its own challenges. I would say it comes with a different set of challenges that I'm not sure everyone is able to properly manage. Like navigation in the mountains would be very, very difficult, right? Like, it's one thing to go hiking in the mountains and following the trails and being all like, all right, I'm gonna go do this like 4-hour hike and it's gonna be great for my like exercise and health and everything, right? But that's on a trail, you know, like it's a path that people have walked. It's smooth-ish, right? Like you know where to go and how to like travel around and not get lost, right? But like the majority of people who go missing in trails would just be something as simple as you slip and trip and fall off a trail and then you're gone. Like you might physically be like 2 minutes away from a trail, but like because of the bush, because of the rocks, because of the topology of the path, if you trip and fall, you might be gone. Like they might not be able to find you at all. Like that's how dangerous it can get. So they're definitely different challenges, but I wouldn't say it would be a priority for people to go to. Forests make food much easier, but clean water and warmth is going to be so much more difficult. Yeah. You could live in a shopping mall like Dawn of the Dead. Could you? I know I had a fantasy of like, if I had the perfect zombie apocalypse survival, I would love to survive in a Costco, right? Like they have their own little section of gardening, right? They have all the soil, they have all the fertilizer. Whatever food I eat, I could just go like poop it into the like compost bins in the corner, right? And like you've got like all the seeds, you've got all the watering gear, you've got like the filtration devices, you have entertainment, right? But yeah, that's the thing. How are you going to secure the Costco? How are you going to protect yourself? Because even like 5, 6, 7 months into a zombie apocalypse, you're gonna have scavengers who see the Costco and be like, you know what, it's probably already looted, but let me go check just to make sure. You know, there's gonna be people who do that. So how are you gonna be able to protect it? How are you gonna be able to seal it off? You know, you have to deal with everyone else coming to Costco too. Exactly. It's gonna be taken over by gangs so fast. That's what I foresee. So I don't know if you would be able to. Home Depot would be safer? Nah, everyone would have the same information, or same like planning. They would see the Home Depot and think immediately tools. They would think gear, like the gloves, welding masks, you know, things to protect yourself, right? Like that, a lot of that stuff would be at the top of everyone's mind. Change the sign to cost more. I'd probably loot a bodega or a 7-Eleven. That could be good. Yeah. How about a library? So many books to read. I'm not sure how useful it would be. To be completely honest, if I were near a library, I would probably just use it for kindling. I'm not sure how much of the books I would want to read, especially because most of my time would be spent traveling, trying to make sure we have enough supplies. Imagine surviving at a Dollar General. You're assuming people are smart enough, which you've seen during 2020 that they're not. The thing is, people as like a collective are generally stupid, right? But like smaller groups that are organized would be the more dangerous ones that you want to worry about. My very brief time on Prepper Pinterest did make me want to at least keep some books on practical skills handy in case of emergencies. The better thing to do with the books is to practice them. You know, like practice the knots. Practice learning how to make knots. Practice learning how to make, you know, kindling. Practice learning how to use like your compass and learning how to like identify like what's an azimuth, you know, on a map. Figure out how to locate where your surroundings are, you know. Better thing also, just like figure out your local region, you know, like where are things around your neighborhood, you know. Or also intent to play more 7 Days to Die. I wish 7 Days to Die was a bit more involved. I wish it was a bit more like not Minecrafty, you know. Like you can build a base and like everything's a cube and everything, but I want it to be more like nitty gritty stuff, you know. Think about that, Steve. Do you ever get in a hole where you start looking for a bunch of prepper stuff and food storage? I do, but it's mostly to learn from examples of what not to do. Project Zomboid, time to hop on Zomboid. Oh my god. Zomboid is more involved. Maybe one day. Maybe I'll figure it out. Can you just play locally? Do you have to have a server? Because if I could just play locally, then it would be a lot easier. Time to go to camping, not sewing, basic stuff classes. Exactly. And the thing is, like, you... sorry, I'm stretching right now because I don't want to shrimp. Where was I? Oh yeah, learning all those basic skills is really good, like clothing repair, fabric repair, you know. That would be like really good because it's not just stuff you do for yourself, but it becomes skills that you can market to other people, you know. So when someone comes up to you for help, you can be like, hey, like I see that your clothes are tattered and broken, or like maybe the tarp that you're using to carry your stuff is, you know, torn. I have the skills, I have the tools to be able to repair that for you, you know. Then you go into the whole like barter and trade system of like, let me repair your clothing if you want to, if you have like I don't know, certain tools that you need yourself, right? So you can trade services that way as well. Your joints are so clicky. Yeah. Question, where do you think the zombies will die faster, in Antarctica or the desert? They're about the same in terms of water, so I'm not sure how. Here's the thing, if the zombies ended up in Antarctica or the desert, we would have greater problems than surviving the zombie apocalypse, because the question is, how did they get there? You know, if you're in the desert and there aren't people there, but like there it just happens to be, you know, swarms of zombies, it's like, something put them there. They somehow managed to get there, right? So I don't know. Do zombies drink water? It's not the zombies drinking water, it's that they will dehydrate and desiccate over time. It's the same thing in Antarctica, because everyone thinks like, oh, snow, ice equals water. It's not the case. It's so cold that you don't have liquid water, that like if you were to just be out there, you will also lose water. You'll lose moisture over time. Can zombies swim? As far as I know, like most people don't know how to swim. So I don't expect zombies to be able to know how to swim. I'm not sure if they would be coordinated enough to be able to swim. But then again, like maybe they don't need oxygen, so they can just like walk on the bottom of the like riverbed. By the way, please learn how to swim. It's a very important tool that I think a lot of people need to have. It's good to know how to like basic swim. You don't need to get to like lifeguard tier power swimming, right? As long as you're able to just keep yourself treading, I think that would be good to have, you know. I can swim, and that, well, let's go. Learning how to swim is good. Z Nation is the only show I've seen with global zombies, cross-species, real zombie, endgame disease. Like, knowing how fast the zombie... Okay, going off of experience from 5 years ago, right? Knowing how quickly it spread, it would also depend on, like, the incubation time of the zombies, right? If it's a zombie, it's one of those things where like the zombie bites you and you're like, oh no, I want to turn into a zombie, and you like it turn instantly, right? It's probably more likely to be a self-contained, very regional, local outbreak, and it's not going to spread that fast because they attack someone, they turn, and then now it's just a group of zombies, right? But if it's like you bite someone and you're like, no, I'm totally fine, like I don't feel like anything, you know, I just bruise, you know, like that kind of a zombie where it takes like a week to kick in, like maybe then we will have bigger problems. So we have to depend on that too. And then the Netherlands, we all know how to swim. Let's go. I'm so glad my parents threw me into the swimming pool as a toddler to figure things out for myself, and now I can swim. Oh my gosh. Tossing them into the deep end. Oh my goodness. But yes, swimming, very good. I would highly encourage everyone to learn how to swim, pick up swimming as a skill. What else is there? Like cooking? You gotta learn how to cook, chat. Food as morale is such an important thing, you know? Please learn how to cook. Cooking is very important. Starting a fire. Like, you know those egg cartons? You can get like egg cartons, put some sawdust, put some like wood shavings in there, pencil shavings even, right? And then put a little bit of wax, candle wax in there, and then you have like really easy to light fire starters, you know? Farming skills, I would not... If you already have a ranch or a farm, I would encourage that. But if you had a ranch and a farm, you probably would already have farming skills. I wouldn't go out of my way to develop new farming skills because the average person wouldn't be able to handle the amount of work it takes to farm and cultivate crops beyond like simple herbs. Like a few peppers, sure, as like accents to your meals and things to add, but enough to feed people, that would require specialized skills, you know? Exactly. Tying knots, fishing and hunting, yeehaw. Not a total apocalypse, but I'm curious how quickly it could be contained by a modern government in a big city. Very poorly. It would not be contained by a modern city. We have examples. We have examples of people actively going out there and being all like, it's not that bad. You know what? I'm gonna have the zombies bite me. You know what? I'm gonna show you that it's not that bad. And you guys are just making a big fuss about it, right? I'm gonna go out and get bitten by the zombies just for that sake, you know, just for that reason. Or like the people who are like, no, I'm totally not bitten. You know, you guys are just crazy. You know, or like, you know, just like, it'll be gone in April, that kind of crap, you know? Like we have historical examples in recent history that show the most unrealistic thing about zombies is that everyone would agree that it is a danger. Okay, so now knowing this new facet of human behavior, let's call it, okay, we have to take that into account. We have to take that into consideration when we start planning for these zombie apocalypses, right? Ooh, you know. What if the zombie virus won't be in the movies and instead turns you into some sluggish person with tier 19 insomnia all the time and barely capable of standing up off the beds? I think that'd be okay. That'd be pretty easy to survive, you know? Avoiding like the plague is a lie. No, some people would actively go into the plague. Some people would be like, you know what, I'm gonna go get the plague because natural immunity to the plague is better than medicine. Ooh, man. Okay, we're getting a little bit too spicy on that one, okay? So let's go back to zombies. Let's pull it back to zombies, chat. We're gonna pull back to zombies, okay? So like I'm gonna operate moving forward off the idea that yes, governments will try, but about 1/3 of the population is not going to go along with it, right? We have to operate with that as a premise, okay? What's your favorite type of zombie, like from which media? I kind of think that my favorite type of zombie, I really think it's the Walking Dead kind of zombie. I really think it's the Walking Dead kind of zombie. but like, if it's like a sprinter zombie, and I knew I had like advanced warning of sprinter zombies, maybe I could prepare. But like, I just like the general like walking, jogging zombie. I think those are more fun. Why? Because they swarm. Because of the horde of zombies. You know, I think it's a lot easier to envision a zombie apocalypse with like shambling zombies than it is to imagine a zombie apocalypse with sprinting zombies, because at some point it stops becoming zombies and it just becomes like aggressive riots, with people just running around assaulting people left and right, you know. But like, yeah, any zombies that run stress me out. That's the thing, like if it's a zombie that can like sprint, then it's like I'm not sure how fast of a or how good of a survival chance like general humanity has, you know? Not the parkour zombies. If a zombie could parkour, then I would want to be bit by a zombie, because I can't parkour right now. But like if I get bitten and then I'm able to parkour, I think that'd be kind of cool, you know? I'm just saying, like, if the zombie is like, hey, by the way, like, if you join the zombies, then like your joints will feel like they're back in their like young 20s again, you know, like, like, hey, you know, that arthritis, you know, the back pain. If you become a zombie, you're not gonna have that anymore because you can't feel pain. You know, it's gonna be like your 20s again. Like, I don't know, like they could make a pretty good argument for that. Parkour zombies would be sick. You wouldn't survive either. You try to date the zombies in like South Korea. Oh my god. Would they be cute? Like, would they be cute? Okay, so sorry, let me step back. I say, would they be cute? And you guys are thinking like, oh, cute anime zombies, teehee ooh, right? I'm thinking like, would they be cute as in like, you'd see the muscles underneath the flesh like twitching and like throbbing, you know, like that yeah, my version of cute, not like your version of cute, right? Like, would they be like aesthetic zombies, you know? I wouldn't mind some rotting parts of the face. I actually think that's kind of cool. Like, you know how you know, okay, Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, the zombie Strange, where he's got like a chunk of his cheek that's like ripped out and you can kind of see the teeth, right? You can see like you can see inside, like past the cheek into like the teeth and the jaw, and you like see the tongue like flopping around, right? Like, I think that's kind of cool, you know? That's pretty cool. Come on, you know? Yeah, visible viscera is peak. Exactly. I'm sure glad I finished eating right as we got to this topic. But like, would you kiss that though? I think that'd be great. Imagine, like, okay, think about this. You could French kiss someone while also breathing. You know, there would never be this like, oh, you're French kissing, and every now and then you'd be like, like you have to come out for air, right? You don't have to worry about breathing because there's a giant gaping hole in their cheek. You know? So you could just French kiss and like you could just breathe through that gaping hole in the cheek without stopping, without pausing, right? Come on, think about it. So true. Exactly. I can't defend you anymore. Do zombies even breathe? Even better, you know? I'm just saying, Chad, there are practical benefits. For this. Gives the gnashing of teeth a whole new meaning. You can breathe through your nose though, but like you don't have to. You can breathe through the gaping hole in their cheeks. You breathe for your zombie partner, yeah. Technically they can't consent. I mean, you'd have to. Okay, that's the thing. Like, they'd still have to pass the Harkness test, like obviously. So like, we're assuming they have passed the Harkness test already. You know, mouth breathing through their mouth gash, taking mouth breathing to a new level. But how do you kiss and breathe at the same time? With great difficulty, but we can make it work. You know, we can make it work. But think of their breath. Oh, come on. It's not like your morning breaths are amazing. Everyone's had bad morning breath, right? You know what morning breath is like. You still love them, right? Easy peasy. Hardness test, my lord, that flashbang to me. Bold and fat thing with it, but this is why you need to be higher on the freak list. The thing is, like, I don't talk about these things normally because I want to be practical about stuff. So whenever conversations about like surviving the zombie apocalypse is like, my priority is 1, let's survive first. 2, let's get to a point of stability where we make sure we have like enough food and water for at least a month. We got tools, we have ways to repair the tools, we have a way to, you know, send out radio signals and be like, hey, by the way, like we got a cool party going on here if you want to come down, right? And then only after all the bare necessities have been taken care of, we introduce zombie Tinder or zombie Bumble or zombie whatever it is, you know, Hinge, zombie Hinge, okay? And like the icon is gonna be like the jaw hinging off the skull because it's a zombie hinge. Get it? Like that'll be the icon, that'll be the app logo. It'll be a zombie with like heart eyes, but the jaw is unhinged. It's like zombie Hinge, right? Like cute, right? That's kind of cute. Wait, that's what you, I love that. I love that. That's fantastic. You know, patent that right now. Zinge, right? Or like Zombinge? I don't know. We'll workshop the actual title of it, right? But I'm just saying, right? What was it called? Maslow's hierarchy of needs or whatever. I think that's outdated. I think it's been debunked or something. Like I think there's been like a better pyramid, right? But like you need to have like your basics, food, water, shelter, right? And that's my priority, okay? Make sure that's okay. And then after food, water, and shelter is dating, okay? But we need to get to the food, water, shelter thing first, all right? Yeah, the pyramid, exactly, right? Except for me, the pyramid is more like a wide base, a tall single stalk, and at the very top of the triangle is dating. There's nothing in the middle. There's nothing in the middle because most of your time would be spent still scavenging and collecting resources, making sure that there's enough water, you know? Drop undead beautiful. Exactly, there you go. You're starting to understand. The idea of a zombie apocalypse happening, and I know halfway across the world, Freakery is having the time of his life. We need to be established before we can date. Yeah, exactly. I don't know if someone's already asked it, but after food, water, shelter, and dating, do you think electricity will be feasible ever again? As someone who has survived for extended periods of time off of solar panels, I believe so. I think it's fine. You could definitely extend, like, there was a period of time, I don't know if you guys know this, but, well, I'm pretty sure you guys know this because I stream, but like every now and then I'll have like power outages, right? The longest power outage in my location was about a month and a half, and I survived off that by traveling to like a different part of the town to like get, because like the grid had gone down at my area. So the apartment complex was out of power for like a month and a half, but like 10 minutes away, there was a second subset grid that was fine. So like I would go to like the library and like study there. But surviving at home without power, it was fine. Because I had my laptop, I had my batteries, I had my solar panels. Vanadaria, thank you for the super. Amped on the cafe, doing some past midnight writing, listening to your zombie apocalypse shenanigans. Congrats, by the way, on the new fit and cover. Thank you for the super as well. And Okoidi, thanks for keeping the membership. Thank you. I hope your night working is productive. Yeah. You just need dry foods and lanterns. No, it's not just dry foods and lanterns. It's dry food, spices, and lanterns. You need like a lot of things, like candy. 100% candy. You need lots of candy too. Zombie partner or ghost partner? I kind of think a ghost partner would be hilarious because the reason why ghost is because like all the fun stuff with ghosts first, yes, but in my mind I have this one very specific scenario where like we get food, but I only get food for myself, and then they'll be like, hey, or like we'll get food, right? And like I'll get food for myself, right? And then like they'll get their food, right? Sure. And like, but like I'm the only one who can like physically eat it, right? So it'll be like for me, right? And then there'll be a moment where I'm gonna ask like, hey, do you want fries? And then they'll be like, nah, I'm not feeling fries right now, right? And then I'll be like, all right, cool, I'll order, you know, because I know they're gonna want fries, so I'm gonna order an extra side of fries for myself, right? And then we're gonna sit down at the table, and then we're gonna be eating, and then they're gonna look at me, they're not gonna say anything, but they're gonna give me like puppy dog eyes, and I will know exactly what they want, but I will hold a pair of chopsticks in my hand. I'm like, you really want the fries? You really want the fries? Like, I know, I can tell you want the fries, right? Because they can't eat unless it's an offering, right? So I'm like holding the pair of chopsticks in my hand. I'm not gonna place them into the fries yet, you know? I'm just gonna hold it like above the fries and be like, this is why you should have ordered your own fries. I knew you were gonna get fries, and I knew that if you're not gonna order fries, you're gonna want my fries, right? So I'm just gonna hold the pair of chopsticks right above the plate of fries and be like, I could give it to you as an offering, but like, see what I mean? See what I mean? You know, like in my head, I have these little scenarios of like why I want a ghost partner. Okay, this man is ready for that specific fantasy. You do not know, chat, the depths of like, I wouldn't say, well, that's not a freak thing, right? That's not a freak thing. It's just like slice of lifey stuff. Okay. It's so specific. You're ready for anything. I know. I'm good. I have read enough slice of life manga and seen enough slice of life anime to know and to anticipate all of this. Rikio, thank you. Why do I feel like your shirt and suspenders are going to be your new default outfit? Not gonna like, works incredibly well with your usually comfy vibes. I like it. I like it. We'll see. It's, you know, like how when I got my first outfit, my second outfit, I guess, I kind of like kept it for a while. We'll see. I'll like, we'll have to break in this new outfit for a while, so it'll be around for a bit. Yeah. Oh yeah, excuse me. We love the domestic spooky life, 100%. Freak thing, and it's just a cute date between you and a ghost, right? It doesn't have to always be freaky. I would love the option to be freaky, you know, but it's like, it's more like a switch. It's more like a skill, you know, you can turn it on. You can activate the freak whenever you need to, but then at the same time, when it's like, okay, the time doesn't call for it, then you can switch it off and be like, all right, let's be more like professional about things, right? Just to have the option to flip that switch, I think is really nice. You need to have a balance between wholesome and freaky to keep it special. Exactly. You can't be freak all the time, you know? Activate the freak. I would definitely be the type to keep a few zombies though. Like, not as partners, but like, I would definitely try to like have a few zombies and be like, can I tap into the power of a zombie? You know, like in Walking Dead, how that one person, I forget what her name was, the really cool badass who had the sword and was like really good with the sword, like in chains in basement. No, as in like a power source. Could you, Michonne? Yeah, her, right? How she like was able to was it like remove the jaw of the zombie to like make sure that they're not a threat anymore, but still had them like chained up to like carry like gear and like cart stuff around, right? Like, could you tap into a zombie? Yeah, you remove the jaws and the arms, so they don't become a threat to you, right? So like, if you have like a windmill, right, and you want to like grind wheat or corn, I don't know, into like cornmeal or something, right? Like, could you hook up a couple of zombies to do that? She used them as a zombie repellent. The other zombies didn't know she was there. That too, right? Like, if you could just have little... One of them was her former partner. I think... Wait, what was the lore again? What was the story? It's like, one of them was her former partner and she didn't want to kill her former partner, so she kept him. And then over time, started like using him as like extra inventory space, right? Shaun of the Dead did that, right? Zombie workforce. Yeah, zombie workforce. D-claw, D-jaw, and D-teeth the zombies, right? Boyfriend and brother, was it something like that? It's been a while. It's been a long time since I've seen it. But something like that, right? In theory you can, but you need someone to walk around like bait. True. And then like the thing is, like every single one of those ends up almost always turning on the person, right? Like the chains break loose, or like something happens and they like still infect you. So like maybe not. Maybe it'd be better to have the zombies outside the Costco than inside the Costco. Even if they were supposed to be used as a workforce, like maybe not. Train to Busan, my favorite zombie movie. I'm trying to think, like, you can park them in the parking lot. I wonder if it's like Walking Dead, where like if you have enough dead zombies around you and you have enough viscera just on your body, you could disguise yourself. So like if you have like a hideout, maybe you can chain a few zombies around the hideout so that they're like rotting corpses in their bodies, create like a miasma of just decaying, the smell of decay, you know, just like rotting meat, so that when other zombies come by, they don't smell you because you're like human. You know, like in I Am Legend, the movie, like Will Smith would go around with a bottle of isopropyl alcohol, and everything he touches, he will spray down with isopropyl alcohol to like get rid of his scent, so that the zombies don't like sniff him out. You know, like maybe it's something like that. At that point, though, it's one small cut and you're turbo cooked. True. Do you think you can stand the smell? Oh hell yeah, I'm fine with smell. I'm trying my best not to repeat the same stories that I've done, but chat, you guys know I've been around bodies and like embalming stuff. Like the smell of zombies is fine, you know? Yeah, I've smelt it already. They had to kick me out of the embalming room because I was a little bit too excited about the bodies. Rotting stuff doesn't bother you? Nah, not really. Worked in a morgue too? I want to work in a morgue. That's kind of cool. But I want to work in specifically in a morgue that's like mortuary assistant. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, there we go. A few quiz too. Okay, so TLDR. I went to Summer Rodent Academy, and then it was like a medical school, and there was a portion where they were learning on actual cadavers to like teach stuff, right? But I wasn't there because I wasn't like in grad school program at the time, so I was just kind of like there. I'm like, whoa, bodies are really cool, right? And they're like, you can't be here. I was like, no, I want to see, and then they kicked me out. But yeah, got too excited. I thought the bodies were cool. Okay, chat. Like, Shinri, I don't think you're a safe presence to be allowed into a morgue. What? I would just be there to study. It's not like I want to do anything crazy. Although statistically, in like mortuary assistants are generally female for a very, very horrible reason, which would probably get me banned if I said on stream. But yeah, there is a reason for that statistic. Please stop. You know, men parentheses derogatory. Please just stop. Like, no, please no, just don't. You know, one day we need to find out who's the freakiest star. Me, Flayan, or Haka. Is that really even a competition there? Is that really a competition? Flayan is pretty vanilla. Flayan is very vanilla, okay? Like, I'm like, Haka just talks, you know? Like, that is not even a competition there, okay? Yeah, it's the Michael Jordan meme. Stop. Get some help, you know? Flayan talks about like lewd things a lot, but I haven't heard him go into detail about it. Yeah, he's like vanilla yandere, right? Haka is all talk with the freak. Yeah, that's the thing. This is what I'm saying. There's a lot of people out there who say and claim that they're freaky, right? But it's just like blindly saying, yeah, smash. You know, they'll see like a zombie, like smash, or they'll see like a monster, be like smash, right? But when you ask them specifics, like what about it specifically do you want to smash, right? It's like the most vanilla thing, like, oh, they're big, right? And it's like that's just a big buff guy. It's just a big buff guy, right? You don't care about the fact that he's a werewolf. It's nothing to do with the werewolf. It's just he's a very big guy who can lift you up, right? Like, yeah, that's attractive. But that's not freaky. That's just a big buff guy who has a lot of hair, you know? Like, what about the werewolf aspect is the part that makes you want to smash. Because if you can't explain that, you're just saying smash for the clip. You're just saying smash because it's like the hip thing to do as a content creator, right? You need to be able to explain it. If you can't explain it, you're not freaky, okay? Like, you need to get like into the specifics. You gotta get to the nitty gritty, okay? Like when Bettel and I did the Smasher Pass, I was able to tell you specifically every single part of all the creatures that I said smash, because there are like key things that are unique to those creatures, like the alien from Aliens, right? Like the ridges, the bumps, like the turgid, like I don't even know if that's the word for the vocabulary for the part, you know? Okay, on the outside edge of the skull, the head cap or whatever, right? The little bumps and ridges, how they like engorge whenever they like get mad, right? Yeah, like the textual feel of the monster, right? Like there are specifics that are unique to the monster. It's not just is a big man, right? It's not just that. It's like a specific thing that's unique to the creature. It's unique to the monster that needs to be like tentacles are so basic, right? Like, oh wow, tentacles that can go into the little orifices, right? Like that's great. You're sure, whatever, right? But like, where's the freak in that? Okay. Weak. These people are weak, chat. Okay? They're weak. Werewolves are fluffy and buff, so soft and strong. Yeah, but like bears, you know, the bears, the humankinds are also soft and strong, right? Like there's nothing unique about the werewolf aspect itself, right? You know, like that's like it needs to be something about the entity, about the creature, not just, oh, there's a human characteristic of it and they just buff. Right? It has to be specific. If the tentacles got suction cups, now we cook it. Exactly, right? Like, sure, the tentacles can go up all to crazy places, right? But like, the suctions, like, do you know what the sensation of like internal suction feels like? I don't know. I would love to find out. I think it'd be pretty cool, you know? And the fact that you're able to like control the strength of the suction, you know? The thing about tentacles I love are mundane stuff. It's nice to have extra limbs to help me work. Honestly, yeah, that too. Just having tentacles to like hold things. You know, like cooking would be so nice because instead of having just two hands to like, you know, prepare things, I could be like cooking stuff, right? And then have a tentacle reach out, grab a plate. Or like have three tentacles go out, like one's grabbing a knife, the other one's grabbing like the food, and then the other one has a bowl, so you can chop things up and then like, you know, actively cook stuff, you know, on the side. Like, I'm just saying, it'd be really nice. It's like, what's the word? Oh no, prehensile tails, there we go. Prehensile tails, exactly. The mental capacity need to control all the tentacles though. I'm pretty sure we could figure that out, you know? Like, you don't have to think about controlling your fingers, right? Like, all 5 fingers, you can think of them as like little appendages, and like, you don't really consciously actively think about them because you're used to it, right? After some time. Maybe like, if you're just born and you have like 15 tentacles, you're like, I don't know what to do with all these, right? But then like, after a while, once you learn how to walk, you're like, oh, I know how to control my tentacles, and it just becomes, you know, a regular thing. Anyways, Chad. Anyways. Unless they're able to specify the freak part of their freak, they are not freaky, is what I'm gonna say, right? I'm gonna call out like every single VTuber who just goes and blindly says smash on everything, right? Like, you need to be able to defend it, you know? Your freak badge is only as strong as your ability to defend it, right? And if your defense comes down to buff guy, it's not enough. It's not enough, okay? Anyways, going back to zombies, Chad. Going back to zombies. I think... Yeah, you can't say hear me out and then not have an explanation for the hear me out. Exactly, right? Can you date a zombie and a ghost if they're the exact same person? Is that cheating? Would you be cheating on someone? Like, would that be cheating? Wait, I have to think about this. If a person becomes a zombie and then they die, but their spirit becomes a ghost, right? Okay, the reason why I'm having a little bit of a difficulty with this one is because I recently watched Severance. Right? And in Severance, the premise is, they say this at the very beginning of the thing, the premise is they're able to, like, air quotes, sever your, like, personality. So you have one person that exists in your body that lives outside, and then the severed person is someone who is very similar to you but has no memory, no recollection, nothing. It's just you in that body whose specific goal is just to work for this company, right? That's the premise of Severance, and then everything else beyond that is just like it is just the story, right? So that's how it starts. Spoilers? No, that's just the premise. So like that, you're not missing. There's no spoiler there, right? It's just that, right? So like, is the body enough of a unique individual on its own that the spirit, the ghost, would be separate? You know, like what happens if the personality of the severed person, you know, what if this personality of the zombie is different from the personality of the ghost, right? Because here's the thing. We have an example of this in video games, and you guys all know it because everyone's seen it. Everyone's played it before. Soma. Exactly. Crow Judge, you got it. Soma, right? If you have one person, but from the instant they diverge and have two separate experiences, they become two different people. They just had the same starting point, right? But now they have two separate experiences, one as a zombie, one as a ghost, right? So at the instant their experiences diverge from one another, they become two unique individuals, right? I think if we go off of that, they just become two separate people. So dating one or the other would just become cheating, you know? Soma has the most goated stories in gaming history. We still need to finish that. I think next month we'll go back and try to finish all the games that we haven't finished. If you're in a relationship with both the zombie and the ghost, would that be considered poly? It would have to be, because they would be different people with different needs, with different perspectives, with different, like, wants, you know? Like, sure, they had the same starting point, but at some point they diverged, and at the point of divergence, they become unique personalities in and of themselves. So they would basically just be two different people that you're dating, right? They just happen to have the same, like, childhood memories, you know? It's pretty romantic loving every version of the person. The concept out of context sounds nice, but I don't know if it would be romantic for the multiple versions. You know? Like, from the perspective of me dating the zombie and the ghost at the same time, it would be like, I love you no matter who you are, like, because I love all forms of you. Sure, that's romantic, right? But you have to flip that around. What would it look like from their point of view, right? Because what if they're monogamous, right? They don't want to share, right? And then they start to build resentment of, like, I want to be the only one that you spend your time with. I don't want to share that time with the ghost version of me, you know? Or like the ghost, like, I don't want to share you with the zombie version of me, because the zombie version of me is a different person, you know? They have different needs, they have different wants, different expectations, you know, because, like, a ghost doesn't need to eat food, but they want to eat food because you could share them with offerings, right? But, like, it's not going to be like let me make food and then offer it to you first, and then after the offering, I give the leftovers to the zombie version because they're a physical body and they still need, like, nutrients, right? Because then the zombie's gonna be like, well, I don't want to always eat, like, hand-me-downs from the ghost version of me, right? Like, do you see where I'm going with this? Like, yeah, the idea of, like, one person loving all versions is great, but it's not necessarily reciprocal, is the thing. And physical touch will be the difference. Exactly, yeah. What if I dated the zombie version because I feel bad that a body that belongs to my ghost lover is suffering? Right? Like, there's a lot of conundrums with that. That would be actually pretty good. Pretty good thing. Would the zombie even care? what if they do care? Like, let's go off the assumption that they do care, okay? But they're not able to express it because they don't have the higher motor functions in order to be able to form the mouths to have speech, right? So like all they can do is just tear up and cry whenever they see something happening, you know? Or like, what about freaky time? Okay, what if you like hanky panky and then like you hanky panky with the zombie, but the ghost is there right outside the door. It's like, well, I can phase through and I see you hanky panky with something who's not me and it's just like my body, right? Like there's so many nuances that we can't just easily just say like, oh yeah, of course I'd date every one of them, right? Like you gotta consider this kind of stuff, okay? Self NTR, right? The ghost sitting in the cuck chair of their own body, right? That's crazy, right? Is that NTR? I think going off the definition I have of individual personalities, yes, it would count as NTR. You know, the ghost can't really feel the same physical connection as zombie can, which would be even sadder, right? Like, what if the ghost wanted a hug, but you literally could not give them a hug because every time you tried, you phase through. Like, you can't even hug the one you love, right? Like, how much of a pain would that be? How much suffering would that be? You know, not the ghost and zombie NTR. Depends on how aware is the zombie. We're going off the Harkness rules, as in they are sapient enough to be able to consent. All right. Thank you for the 26 months. The most powerful word from Joshuichi Shinri. Hit me out. What if? I'm just surprised that people haven't considered these. Oh wait, okay. Well, never mind. I'm not surprised because people. If dating ghost zombie split personalities was a common aspect, I would be surprised that people hadn't considered this. But given that the premise itself is not something many people would even consider, I can now understand why many people would not think about this. You know, but like there are considerations we've got to have. Okay. I've recently watching The Hunting of Bly Manor and they had the ghost hug problem, right? Like, what if something bad happens and you want to go with them, you want to give them a head pat, you'd be like, it's gonna be okay, but then you like whoosh, and it's like, oh no, I can't even give you a head pat, you know? You mean you never considered ghost NTR? No, I have not considered ghost NTR because this is the first time. Because in my mind, I always thought of like entities as like the individual unique beings. I didn't consider that an entity could be split across two beings, you know? You're not taking possession into account, but it's not the same, you know? It wouldn't be the same because the experience you have as a ghost, you would just be taking over the body of someone, you know? Yeah, it would be like air quotes your own body, but at some point, like a month down the line, it wouldn't be your body anymore. It would be your zombie's body, you know? So like that, just putting the ghost inside the body of the zombie wouldn't be enough to bring them whole again, because once they split, there's no way to put them back together as far as we know, right? Even if possession works, the ghost still knows they're taking over another person with autonomy and taking it away. Yeah, exactly. Reminds me, I used to play this mobile game where you create a zombie boyfriend. It was kind of fun. Each evolution had unique designs and you didn't get the same with every retry. Ooh, that's kind of cool. Like procedurally generated zombie boyfriends. Since vampires are undead, would they also have ghosts? I don't know. It would depend. In Celti, the Dullahan splits her memories between her head and the body. That's even worse, you know? I'm just I'm gonna have to think about it a bit more. What's the game? I see Chad, the quiz, like, what's the game? A game where you can make a zombie boyfriend? Tell me the name. Give me the name of the game right now. Have you ever played Beyond Two Souls? No. I've seen it before, but I haven't played it. There's a lot of games I haven't played. If it's mostly like Sony games, I've probably not played it. Because I don't have a PlayStation. I'm not really much of a console gamer, so I don't have that, but yeah. If there's a time machine and you see your lover days before splitting, like the hopeless romantic in me would want to go take the time machine and say like, I will still love you no matter what you become. But I don't know if they do end up splitting into two different people. I can't cheat on my lover with my lover. You know, like, that doesn't seem fair to them. I have thought about what it would be like to have a ghost girlfriend. It'd be pretty neat. I think it'd be pretty cool. It'd be pretty cool. You know, like during the summer, you'd be like, hey babe, I'm hot. Can you give me a hug? And then they would float over to you and give you a hug and then cool you down. Like, yeah, cool. Thanks, babe. You know, like, I think that, like, I've thought about scenarios like that, but like, I've never considered like self-NTRing with your own body or ghost, you know? Or like, what takes precedence? Like if you have, let's say a person, right? They die. So you have a ghost that splits off from them, right? And then the body becomes a zombie, but then the zombie gets bitten by a werewolf. Or a vampire? Vampire zombies? You know? And like how far can, like, what takes precedence over the other? You know, like, do they cancel out? Do they just have a really bad fever as like the two sides of like the vampire zombie like fight each other or something, you know? Rox Freeze, thank you. If SB marries a slime and it duplicates, does the new copy become their spouse or their child? I don't know. I've never considered that before. The first infection takes the whole, but like you can, while they still have blood, you know? Because the like a vampire infection doesn't necessarily like overpower them in a way of like taking them over biologically. It's not romantic, but in Botany Girl, sent by the MC's character, basically changes personality until she goes back. The MC more low-key mourns the version of his sister that he got close with. I mean, yeah, that part's fine. You know, you get like a different personality. So like, they do become separate people, you know, separate individual persons, you know? Let's add time traveler version before the turning. There'll be no blood circulation in the zombie. You don't need blood circulation. You can just puncture the veins and then just forcibly suck out the blood. That'll be fine. If you get bitten by a vampire werewolf zombie, which do you become first? I'm just saying, we want to find out. So I'm probably gonna go find like a bunch of rats or like a bunch of mice or I don't know, like a deer. Can you have a vampire werewolf zombie deer? Maybe, I don't know. Like I would want to do some research on it. I'd try to find out. Have like a research pen outside, you know? I'm gonna be up all night trying to figure out the blood curse PEMDAS. The blood curse PEMDAS. Why a deer? Because not everything that you study from rats can be translated one for one with larger mammals. Also because like the dosage makes the poison, you know, the dose makes the poison. So like, what if like a small dose that works on a rat might not work for a larger creature that's like, you know, that weighs closer to like 200 pounds or something, you know? So we gotta know, we gotta do science on this stuff, right? It also depends on what type of viruses each are. Yeah, like what if the zombie thing is like, what if it's like nanobots? What if it's like nanomachines? Like the reason why people fall under your control is because like the zombie bites you, but it's not like, or the vampire bites you and they don't like suck your blood. They just inject your blood with like nanomachines or something. I don't know, you know, like who knows? I thought ghouls are a subset of zombies. Like some ghouls are, like Fallout ghouls are just radiation zombies, you know? But like, I'm just saying, Chad, we gotta think about this kind of stuff. We got a lot of stuff to consider. What if a ghost bites you? That'd be so cute. That would be so cute. You know the trope of like when someone gets angry and they have like a little lover's quarrel, like one of them will bite the other one. They're trying to bite you, but they like keep phasing through. So you just see them like trying to like nom you, but they like their teeth just keep phasing through your shoulder or something. Like, oh, that's adorable. You know. Doesn't vampirism take immediate effect while zombification from a virus take a moment? Right? That's the thing though, right? Vampirism happens immediately, right? But like that doesn't cancel out the zombie virus in the body, right? So like what happens? The zombie like is there, right? But like does the zombie have a fever? later on, and they're like, what's happening to my body, you know? And then like they become a zombie afterwards. Like, do they still retain the, like, there's a lot of stuff we don't know. We gotta be able to test it out, you know? Ghosts can bite you if you hold the chopsticks vertical in your hand, right? Aw, that'd be really cute. Depends on the vampire. Some vampire lore involves slow turning process, right? We gotta do more science. We gotta do more studies on this kind of stuff. Would vampirism heal the zombie? I don't know. I know in like Skyrim they cancel each other out, right? Or like you can't have both vampirism and werewolf or lycanthropy unless you use mods, I think. But I don't know how it works IRL, you know? More things that we can talk about in the future, I suppose. Yeah, testing multiple strains of vampirism, exactly. That'd be so cool to have like a little apothecary shop, and then someone's like, I want to be a vampire, and be like, I got just the thing for you. Like, what kind of vampire do you want, right? And then like, I have like 5 different vials of like different types of vampirism, like 5 different vials of like bones, you know? Like, imagine little glass jars of like a bloodied like zombie bone, right? Of zombie teeth, right? And you're like, all right, just scratch yourself with this teeth if you want to get this like flavor of zombie, or like, you know, that kind of stuff, right? Like that'd be so cool. Yeah, and a big trench coat and everything. I imagine zombie bites will be like when you wake up with an unexplainable bruises on your body. I also want to see like, let's combine like, you know, like a pocong. They're like the physical form is a human body, right? That's just wrapped in a shroud. Like, can that be turned into a zombie vampire? You know, like could that happen? Could cryptids become more cryptid, eh? You know, like I just want to know, like, how far can we get into that? I just want to be a Jiangxi. I'm gonna jump around. Right, that'd be so cute. That'd be really cute. A vampire zombie Mothman. This vampire Bigfoot, right? But the Pocong is a ghost-like entity, no, right? No, yes, but they have a physical body, right? Or like, what was the other one? The body where like the head pops out and it has like the spine and all the organs that come along with it. Layak, I think, is what it's called. If the head is out of the body, and like the way you can kill it is like to like stab the neck portion of it, you know? If the body gets bitten by Aswan, Panangalan, something like that, yeah, like there's similar names for all of those, like the general like entity species question mark, right? But like, if a zombie bites the body, does the head become a zombie? Or like, does the head have to reconnect with the body, and then like the virus of the zombie like gets into it, like then like, you know, like I'm just so curious, like how do they work together? We need to make a tier list to know for sure. Not until it rejoins, right? Like, imagine you come back after like a night of shopping and eating babies, right? You come back and you're like, wait a minute, what's going on? Why is my body turning into a zombie, right? And you're like, man, someone like a zombie bit my body now, and like I can't return home until I figure out a way to cure it, right? You're just like, oh man. And now you're a floating head and you're trying to convince people like, hey, by the way, like, yeah, I ate your baby, but like I need your help because while out there hunting down children, my body got turned into a zombie, and I need your help to cure the zombification so that I can go back to my body, right? Like I know, but like, please, can you help me? You know, like there are important questions we gotta figure out. Archangel Ty, thank you for joining the correlative. Okoidi. Hope you enjoyed the channel badge and the emotes. Right? The body is basically the host. The sentient part is the head, right? But like, if the body is infected, the head can't go back to it, right? But like, I'm just saying, like, we gotta start considering these things. If a mummy bites a zombie and a zombie bites the mummy, who turns into what? What if the mummy is a mummified werewolf and the zombie is a vampire zombie and they bite each other? That's kind of hot. First off, kinky. Second off, this is science. We gotta do science. We need to figure out how it works, you know? Like, they're like fractions, you know? Like, denominators and numerators. Like, we gotta figure out how the maths, okay? Mummies probably can't turn because they're sanctified corpses. Could you bite an angel? Wait. I know you guys are thinking about like the pretty blonde people with the wings. No, I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about the biblical ones, the ones that look like rings of eyeballs. Like, could you bite one of those rings of eyeballs? Like, wait, what? Could an angel blush actually? Like, okay, you know the whole like eye move. Okay, hang on, hang on, let me show you, right? Like, okay, so like, you know how like you know when people when they're like shy, they do this eye thing where they're like, right? They do that stuff, right? They like their eyes dart around. They don't want to like keep eye contact with you because they're blushing, right? Like, would that happen with angels? Like, would you see the whole ring of eyeballs like looking at you and then like turning away and then like getting a little bit like blushy? Like, would that happen? You know? Wouldn't biblical angels just burn everything that sees its true form? Yeah, but like, let's just assume you can survive that, because like the strength of your thirst is able to quench the flames of the angels, you know? Aren't there higher dimension beings? No, it would matter. Like, the whole I would traverse dimensions to find you also includes dimensions upwards, right? So the 4th, 5th, 6th, and all the way to the 10th. Exactly. Yeah. You know? When I said I would travel across dimensions, I don't mean just the multiverse. I mean upwards as well, you know? Juju, thank you for the gift of membership. Thank you, thank you. Can we get some hearts in chat for the gift of membership? Could a zombie infect Cthulhu? Maybe. That'd be kind of cool to see. Trying to flirt with a biblical angel and receiving the side eye of the century. Biblical angels just take on human appearance if needed, right? But the true form is actually not specified. I thought it was like the ring of... Okay, do you know what? If the biblical angels take on the form of humans, right? There's that menu. There's that menu when you talk to... Was it... I haven't played Baldur's Gate 3, but is it Gale? The werewolf guy? Bear guy, right? There's a pop-up menu, right before the scene where it's like, I want the bear, you know? It'll be that, right? So like the Halsin, there we go. Yeah, I've not played all Baldur's Gate right now, right? But it's Halsin, right? There's an option that pops up right before it happens and you're like, I want the bear, right? So the angel will show up and it'll be like, I'm gonna take the form of a human that like suits your no, I want the eyeballs. Give me the eyeballs. You know, that menu is going to pop up and it's going to be like, give me the eyeballs. And I'm going to want the eyeballs. That's how you're going to do it. You know? And they're like, are you sure? Like, did I stutter? I want the eyeballs. Give me the eyeballs. What would you do with the eyeballs? I mean, like, the only thing that I can think about right now is because I don't know what the physical form of the angel would be, but like, I think there's something really hot in like maintaining eye contact while it happens, you know? Like, I think that's kind of hot. So like, all those eyes, I'm probably gonna have to just pick one or two of them. I wouldn't be able to pick like all of them at the same time. Like, I would just pick one eyeball. But like, you know, that's a lot of eye contact. Exactly. Prolonged eye contact. The sad thing about angels is no matter the form, you can't look at it too long. Good thing, however, touching is still on the menu, boys. I mean, see, that's why we got to figure it out. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, there is... Like, I've welded... I've used, like, TIG welders before. I've used, like... we have pretty good eye protection is all I'm saying, okay? We got pretty good eye protection. The other eyes will feel lonely. I wonder if all of the eyes would roll in the same direction or if they would all just roll in different directions. That'd be kind of hot. If it's all one, no, they would all, because like the implication is that the eyes are all seeing, as in like they're looking at different things, right? So they would want to roll in different directions, right? Because they're independent enough that they can see in every angle. We've gone off the rails on this one, chat. This is supposed to be surviving the zombie apocalypse, okay? Kex, thank you for the super. Be not afraid, Shinri would. Be more afraid. Thank you for the super. I remember someone made a fan art about that one. What was it from? It was a cat girl zombie spider monster. Grandma zombie cat girl, right? I forget. It was that one game we played with the spider zombie cat girl grandma. You know, I think it was fan art from that one. I forget where it was though. Grandma, Granyan. There we go. Hollow Cocoon. Yeah, that's the game. That's the game. I'm finally remembering now. Nah, you ain't leaving. God, was it Socks? Is that the one? The who made the comic? Like the ooh, I'm gonna scare you, and then the person like looks over and there's like a little trophy, like #1 monster hugger trophy, and there's like, I'm gonna go now, and the guy like locks the door. Nah, you ain't leaving. We move some survival tips to hugging God's angels. What a true Shinri experience. What did it just walk into? I love it. You're gonna have to scroll back and like rewind a little bit after the stream. There's a lot. We talked about a lot. Actually, speaking of which, chat, it's been 2 hours. I do have to go get some lunch. I want to keep these morning chats pretty short, so I don't want to go too long. I'm gonna be streaming later this afternoon anyway. We got some Diablo 2, Act 2. We're finally in Lutko Lane. We're gonna go do some like spooky desert stuff. Yeah. All right, chat. Thank you all for stopping by. I hope you have a good one. I will see you later tonight, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. JST. Yeah. I went from one thing to another, but I love it. Do we have a schedule yet? Not yet. I'll start beginning out a proper schedule by Sunday this coming week. Yeah. All right, chat. Thank you all for stopping by. I'm going to go ahead and send you off on a raid to someone. I don't know if anyone's streaming right now, though. Where? Let's see. Wait, excuse me. Oh, it looks like Ruse is currently playing some WoW Hardcore. So let me send you over to Ruse. Yeah. Thank you all again for stopping by. Give me a couple of your hours. I'm gonna go get some food and then ponder the idea of, is it really NTR if you are dating a ghost and a zombie of the same person at the same time? We'll have to think about it. I still think it is, but like, maybe there can be like, I don't know, like maybe what if like if it's like the body just kind of does its own thing and like the spirit it like projects out of it, like the person is still the person, but like you can kind of like send like astral project your ghost out. Maybe it'd be okay, but like we need to figure out what constitutes like consciousness or like personhood, you know? We'll have to figure that kind of stuff out. You can figure it out. Relationships are all about compromise. Oh man. Okay. Anyways, I'm gonna get some food. Thank you all for stopping by. I hope you have a good one. All right. Oh my god, it's 11 and I'm still yawning. My coffee. I need to get more coffee. I need to get some more coffee. All right. Have fun over at Ruse's. Wait. Wait, what was the thing again? Oh yeah, this has been Josuiji Shinri, your Radio Ronin. Thanks for tuning in tonight, or today, this morning, right? Coming up next at the top of the hour is Crimson Ruse with Hardcore World of Warcraft. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah.